besides attacking McDonald's employees for sauce packets. What's the worst fanboy meltdown you've seen in public? Skyrim midnight launch. The only store in town that had one. Pre-orders only. Now they did have copies they sold that weren't pre-ordered, but it was first come first served. So it's not like the employees were being dicks about it. I grabbed my pre-ordered copy. My mate grabs his. Our other friend showed up about 10 minutes after we did, so we waited for him. While we're waiting, some dude walked to the counter and asked for a copy. But had no pre-order. Sorry mate. None left. We had very limited copies that weren't pre-orders. Dude just fucking lost it. Started rambling about how fricked up his life is, and his one piece of hope was Elder Scrolls. He literally starts the waterworks as he starts knocking shiz around the store as he's leaving. Yelling at people for taking his game from him. We could hear him screaming, and I mean gut-wrenching screaming. All the way down the road. Guy was mentally unhinged. So it meant that much to him. But he didn't pre-order. His Quest notification system probably failed to show him the arrow on his HUD. Or he was distracted by existing quests and failed to complete it on time. Wife and I took our nieces to the Naruto movie premiere. Movie was good. Lots of mainly teenage girls screaming and cheering every time Naruto had a scene. Because it was the premiere. They had a documentary afterwards about the cast. Turns out Naruto is played by a middle-aged Irish-American lady named Mayla Flanagan. Her parents must have looked up most Irish-sounding name ever in the baby book. Ever heard of several hundred young teenage girls' fantasies just evaporate all at the same time? It was epic. There were tears. There were shouts of anger. I suspect poor Mayla got some nasty fan mail. Update: apparently it's Hawaiian. But it sounds Irish to me. Ha ha ha, this is the best one. Wish I was there to watch that unfold. That story actually confuses me. I went to the theater to see a Naruto movie a few years back too, but 90% of the people who showed up were 17 to 18-year-olds, dudes and grown men. It would have been a real challenge to pick out even one teenage girl. Maybe if it was Inuyasha. I still don't get the anger though. When I learned Goku's original voice actor was a Japanese grandma, I was like, that's weird. And forgot about it. When I was little I went and saw the Pippi Longstocking movie. I loved me some Pippi Longstocking. Well, the credits begin rolling and my sister is reading them out and I had a full-on meltdown. Pippi isn't real, Pippi isn't real, crying and being ridiculous. My family still won't let me live it down. I don't drink and I don't play poker. But I won the poker tourney at the local brewery. The guy sitting next to me the whole night, wearing sunglasses, talking probability, and complaining that I wasn't paying attention to the game, really flipped out. And it was glorious. I won a gift certificate for beer. Saw a kid get tackled by BK employees over the gold Pokemon cards. Remember those Pokemon Gold cards that came in the giant Pokeballs that Burger King used to sell? I had friends obsessed with those damn things. Trying to get all 6. Or 10. I forget how many. They believed they'd be worth millions in the future. Our local BKs sold out of them very quickly. And I saw a kid jump the register and run to the back trying to find one. He thought they had more in the back, and I'm not sure what he was planning to do beyond that. But he definitely tried before being tackled and held back by several employees. The 90s were a weird time. I feel like most fast food places wouldn't care that much nowadays to tackle and pin down a customer. But, well, there ya go. It was 6. Source: I have all of them still. I don't think they're worth millions though. I see all 6 going for about $75 to $100. Go get yourself a new bedspread or a blowjob from a hooker. It's all the same. The way you wrote that first sentence. I thought the kid managed to get a gold only to be tackled by employees who also wanted the gold. The Beanie Baby craze. 1998 to 2000 I worked my first job at McDonald's and people were fist fighting each other for them. Crowded as all hell on a Saturday afternoon. Crying kids. And the police had to be called. Nowadays most Beanie Babies are worth diddly squat. As a 15-year-old girl at the time with no interest in things like Beanie Babies, I cashed in on them. My mom would find them super cheap and get them for me. I would in turn sell them for a higher price. My absolute best sale was a grown man who I assumed was buying for his kid. I hope who paid $1,500 in cash for most of my collection. I used the money to outright buy my first vehicle, a hot pink geo-tracker that looked like a Barbie Jeep. Extra as frick. I worked at a toy store around '98 who also asked me about Tickle Me Elmo and Tamagotchi that did not carry Beanie Babies. So many crying kids because they wanted the cute stuffed animal. But mom wouldn't let them because it's not a tie, sweetheart. You don't want it, 'cause every kid wants a stuffed animal that they're not allowed to touch. Ever. Yoshitaka Amano, the artist that created the art of the Final Fantasy franchise, attended an anime convention way back and severely underestimated his popularity in the US. After his panel was over, he agreed to sign merchandise. But instead of just signing stuff, he drew pictures, and even looked at other people's artwork. The line for this weaved seemingly forever at the hotel. But he had a plane to catch and had to leave. A few fans went so nuts in line that he stayed until the entire line was done. As much as I regret he had to deal with that situation, I was at the back of the line and still got a Final Fantasy book signed with a very quickly drawn image of a girl from the best gaming fantasy illustrator in existence. Wow. Mad respect to him for that. Respect, concern it was a hostage situation. So, when The Phantom Menace came out there were lots of Jedis dueling with fluorescent-colored PVC tubes in front of the theater. I am not sure what saber fighting style a few of them were using. But in the ongoing sloppiness someone got hit with a PVC tube pretty hard. What shortly ensued was a few real fights with PVC tubes and a multitude of red-faced Jedis re-reeing at each other, swinging at each other like they were piñatas. It was more entertaining than the movie. Should have tried spinning. That's a good trick. San Diego Comic-Con. Every damn year it gets worse and worse. The lines are unmanageable. From people cutting in line, fighting, screaming and all-out nerd raging, it's a mess. Want to see grown men fight over Funko Pops, Magic the Gathering cards, Mondo posters, Shopkins? Welcome to SDCC. More people need to see this. I got in because my mate worked for a company involved with several of the larger booths. I always wondered about going and now I had the chance. It's just an overcrowded shopping floor full of overpriced toys and merchandise. People fighting over shiz they could buy online cheaper. Honestly, it was kinda boring. I was done with it in about an hour. In the 5th grade there was this kid in my class who was obsessed with Hermione Granger. Not Emma Watson, but her character from Harry Potter. I'm talking 15 to 20 different pictures in his locker and like plastered on his folders, binders, etc. In short, it was too much. One day a kid in our class called him gay and said he only liked Hermione because she looked like a boy. Wrong move. He lost it. Instantly started crying. Bawling is a better description. Then after about 30 seconds of utter emotional meltdown he attacked the kid, clawing at his eyes, pulling hair, all the while screaming at the top of his lungs, "Hermione Granger is beautiful. Hermione Granger is beautiful." One of the strangest experiences of my life. I mean, when I was in grade 5 I had a crush on Emma Watson, but I kept it low-key. Like masturbating in my bedroom about it. I've seen hardcore Magic players flip tables at FNM. It gets way too intense to even enjoy going anymore. I had a boyfriend for about 2 weeks who was really into Magic. He'd flip tables on a weekly basis. The second time it happened I was out. That coupled with telling me my grandma's a horrible person for buying me tickets to a show because he was going to buy them and now his plan is ruined. That dude had issues. I haven't seen the table flip. But I have seen temper tantrum rage quits because I wasn't playing with some $2,000 Pro Tour copycat deck. If you think so highly of your lack of creativity and deck building skills, then sit down and take your free win. And if they stayed at the table and I beat them with my deck that had a total secondary market value of maybe $50, their meltdown would make Chernobyl look like a puff of steam. Usually the reason some people get pissed when their opponent isn't using a cookie-cutter net deck is because they're actually shiz players who just remember what to play against key cards. Back when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Some guy got angry at my 15-year-old brother because he was using a 3-year-old deck that was no longer meta-relevant. It was still legal and viable. His nearly $1,500 deck made mostly of secret rares just crumbled because he didn't know which cards to use. You haven't played enough MTG if you haven't witnessed a table flip. I've seen it happen in Commander EDH after someone counted his commander for the second time. Commander is supposed to be hella casual. I've never understood the whole rage over a counterspell thing. People can't seem to accept that counters are some of Blue's only removal. And they should play around it just like anything else. I had a 50-year-old woman in tears at my store because I didn't have an iPhone 8 Plus in gold. She had to get silver. People like that should be forced to live in a third-world country for a month to get a grasp on what fucking matters in life. I am Argentinian and people here complain and whine about the same shiz. Brats exist in rich and poor countries alike. Second hand. Guy was at an anime convention in Tokyo and chats up one of the voice actresses that was there as a guest. Later, on a train, one of the more awkward attendees confronts him and spazzes at him for daring to talk to whomever because he was in love with her or something. Guy knocks him over and he runs off into the night.